welcome to the State of Oregon's 2020 Fallen Law Enforcement Officer Memorial. Today we begin this event with Deputy Chief Williams playing the national anthem, followed by Chaplain Trey Doty, who'll give the invocation.
Honor guard and uniformed personnel, attention! Honor guard and uniformed personnel, present arms!
Holy and loving God, you are our strength and our refuge in times of conflict, in times of sorrow, in times of remembering the stories of those who've gone before us. And as many in the community may have forgotten those names on the wall, God, you have not forgotten one of them. Their story is written in eternity for those who've protected us, who've stood in the gap, who've been brave and courageous, when oftentimes we were indecisive. Thank you for their courage. Thank you for instilling them with strength and the wisdom and the compassion to go before us and watch over us. As we gather today, may these stories of these names, these people on the wall, may they be embedded in our hearts. May they instill us with confidence. May they remind us of the honor and the integrity we wish to embody in ourselves. And may their stories live on in our stories as we tell them to generations after us. We thank you for your presence here and in the words spoken today and in the stories remembered. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Doty, for the beautiful invocation, the amazing weather, and also thank you, Deputy Chief Williams, for a beautiful rendition of the national anthem. Please be seated. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Oregon's Public Safety Academy and the state's annual Oregon Fallen Law Enforcement Officer Memorial Ceremony that honors the sacrifices of brave men and women who protect our communities. This year's ceremony is different, as our world, our nation, and our state work to keep residents healthy and safe during the COVID-19 pandemic. To adhere to social distancing guidelines, this year's ceremony is closed to the public. We know that many of you are participating virtually as we stream today's ceremony. Those in attendance today are employees at the Oregon Public Safety Academy, members of the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office Incident Management Team, and dedicated state and federal employees who are working at the state's Emergency Coordination Center, which is temporarily located at the Oregon Public Safety Academy. To the men and women with us today, or watching from afar, who have worn the uniform of our nation's armed forces, we thank you for your dedicated service. We are missing hundreds of you in person today who would normally be with us for this special event. We especially miss those whose family members and coworkers we honor through this annual ceremony cannot be with us. This includes moms, dads, spouses, children, grandchildren, and others. Holding today's ceremony was never in question. We knew that our state has a commitment to hold this ceremony. It allows us to collectively honor a promise that is made whenever a law enforcement officer dies in the line of duty. That promise is that we will never forget. We will never forget those whose names are etched on the wall. We will never forget the families of the fallen. The Oregon Law Enforcement Officer Memorial honors 187 fallen officers. The oldest name etched on a memorial dates back to the 1860s. To your right, the Oregon Fallen Firefighters Memorial that recognizes more than 150 career and volunteer firefighters who died in the line of duty is also prominently located here at the Academy. The location where these memorials are deliberate and for all to see. Both memorials stand as a daily reminder of the sacrifices Oregonians have made to protect our residents and our natural resources. 187 United States flags line the driveway of the Academy to recognize the 187 law enforcement officers we honor here today. An additional flag is displayed to honor those who died in the line of duty around our nation last year. The men and women we honor here today died while serving Oregonians as members of city, county, state, tribal, and federal law enforcement agencies working as corrections, parole and probation, and police officers. We gather here today for a purpose. We gather here to honor. We gather here to remember. The commitment of those we honor today can be found inscribed on the Law Enforcement Memorial itself, with the rededication of the living to the principles which guided the dead. We give meaning to their sacrifice. The way we never forget our fallen or their sacrifice is by reading their names. This is done each and every year, and it will be done today. Reading the names will be DPSST staff members Teresa Janda and Kayla Smith, both of whom have the honor to work with family members of our fallen who are members of the Oregon Concerns of Police Survivors.
Glenn Allen, Chester A. Alquist, Robert R. Anderson, James R. Applegate, Paul E. Baker, Charles H. Basie, Ralph D. Bates, Burl B. Bocum, Harold R. Berg, Albert W. Bowe, William D. Bowman,
Marvin R. Brewster, Ernest M. Brown, Harvey K. Brown, Irving L. Burkett, Earl A. Birch, Gary L. Biasi, George R. Cameron, Theodore R. Chambers, Michael L. Cheney, Gerald G. Churick, John P. Christensen,
Brett R. Clodfelter, Scott E. Collins, Del B. Courtney, David W. Crowther, Dennis A. Darden, Gil C. Dayton, Roger L. Davies, Donald E. DeSuze, Edward Diedrich, Roy H. Dirks, Robert E. Drake,
Clyde Dubell, Oscar L. Dooley, Daniel K. Duncan, William J. Dunlap, James W. Dunn, Almond L. Eastman, Thomas M. Eckhart, Gerald H. Erickson, Alfred C. Evans, Thomas R. Farrell, Frank B. Farrell.
Robert R. Farron, Jr., Robert E. Forrester, David Foster, Michael J. Frank, Kelly Fredenberg, Ray Garcia, Robert C. Gear, Ralph Gibbons, James C. Gill, Jason M. Gooding, William A. Goodman,
Rupert L. Haynes, William R. Hakim, Charles Hall, William M. Hall, George G. Hanlon, John O. Hart, David D. Hefner, Amos L. Helms, Roderick Henry, Buddy R. Heron, James A. Hines,
Jason A. Hariff, Holly V. Holcomb, James M. Holman, Gilbert H. Horton, Arthur Hubbard, Kirk R. Huffstetler, Hans J. Iverson, Emery J. Jackson, Jesse J. Jackson, Thomas L. Jeffries, Philip R. Johnson,
S. R. Thurston Jones, Charles H. Keeler, Charles M. Kendall, Frederick C. Keelhorn, Ronald G. Kilby, John Christopher Kilcullen, Virgil D. Knight, Jr., Victor Knott, Joseph H. Crutchter, John W. Lambert, James Lamers, John E. Lawrence,
Walter W. Linhart, William T. Levinson, Samuel J. Lewis, Robert Allen Lipke, Glenn L. Litzenberg, Roger J. Lloyd, Robert Lockwood, Ernest C. Lowell, Philip B. Loud, Scott A. Lyons, John J. McCarthy,
Aubrey E. McCurry, Robert B. McMaster, Maria F. Mignano, Harry P. Minto, Roy E. Meisner, Albert W. Moe, Alice Moran, Edward A. Morrow, Robert P. Murray, Dan A. Nelson, Richard F. O'Connor,
Thomas G. O'Connor, Joseph Omland III, Stephen M. Owens, Ralph A. Painter, Jerome Palmer, Officer Palat, Earl W. Perkins, Louis S. Perrine, Del A. Perry, Robert Phillips, James H. Phillips,
Stanley D. Pounds, George J. Prescott, Samuel Prescott, Glenn H. Price, Elmer R. Pyle, James D. Rector, Thomas E. Rice, Robert M. Riley, Delmond E. Rondo, David R. Sanchez, Charles C. Sanders,
Joseph Saunders, John G. Saxton, Alvin M. Schmidt, Charles F. Shope, Richard J. Schuning, John R. Shaver, James D. Shepard, Jimmy L. Shoup, Russell H. Simpson, August D. Singler, Walter B. Slusarchik,
Carlton E. Smith, Donald E. Smith, Douglas E. Smith, Eldon Smith, Leroy H. Spickerman, Ralph H. Stahl, Mounts Story, Vernon J. Stroder, Gary Sumter, Richard C. Swan, Sr., John L. Sweeney,
Robert L. Talbert, Tillman Taylor, Morris L. Taylor, Thomas P. Tennant, Patrick A. Tennies, Ronald H. Terwilliger, Bailey T. Tiffany, Grover C. Todd, Willard A. Tubbs, Frank W. Twombly, Curtis A. Vanderson,
Charles Vincent, Colleen Weibel, Harrison M. Wallace, Lisa G. Wampole, Frank L. Ward, Ira A. Warren, Donald T. Welp, Jack West, Woodrow W. Whetstone, Malchus Williams II, Charles M. White,
James R. White, Mark A. Whitehead, Charles R. Wicks, Jack W. Williams, Raymond Williams, William W. Withers, James D. Wright, James H. Worrell, Samuel S. Young, John Zoller.
At this time, 2 wreaths will be placed at the memorial by our honor guard. The wreaths are provided by the Oregon Peace Officers Association and the Oregon chapter of the Concerns of Police Survivors, also known as COPS. One wreath represents the loss of a loved one by the families. The other recognizes the loss of a colleague by the law enforcement family. this concludes our ceremony. I'd like to thank you all for being here with us this afternoon. A special thanks to all of you from the Emergency Coordination Center for all the hard work you're doing to keep Oregonians safe during this pandemic. A special thanks to all of you for joining us outside here this afternoon and all of you participating virtually. It is my hope that we will be together next year when we pause to honor and remember the men and women who gave their all so that we can live in a free state. Thank you very much. Enjoy the day.